And welcome back aboard Blurred Force One with your boy Mo. And this is the Supercast, where we talk about all things superhero and our pop culture media. And that's movies, TV shows, video games, comic books. We talk about the news, do some speculation, all of that good nerdy stuff. And before we get into the podcast today, you know what to do. Get down there and hit like on this video. So, hey, don't adjust your TV sets. You're not seeing things weird. You are indeed seeing single. Because, unfortunately, our good friend Polly, the rather infamous Reed Richards truther and comics aficionado, she is unfortunately under the weather. So you just got to deal with me today, for better or for worse. And hopefully my voice will hold up. We'll see about that, but we're on episode 220 of the Supercast, where we're going to talk about, a lot of the news that's going on this week. There's, as usual, that Comcast, Paramount, Netflix thing. I'm not Comcast, Netflix, Paramount, was it Discovery, WB Discovery stuff? Boy, that won't go away. It is like herpes. It just keeps popping back up. Beyond that, of course, this is Black History Month. We're going to do a Black History Month superhero spotlight and media spotlight. We're going to talk about some pretty cool stuff that I got into this week related to like some black comics. It's comics called Black. And so I'm going to cover that. Also, my superhero of the week. And, we got plenty of news. But before we do that, you know what we got to do? We got to talk about what did I do nerdy this week. You know what? I keep telling y'all, I am really, really engaged right now. My, nerd stuff, superhero stuff, that's my thing. I love movies and all that stuff, but the thing I do to touch grass in the real world is literally touch grass. I'm a gardener and it is damn near time to get plants out, so I'm very busy with that. But I did make some time to do some fun stuff. Like I checked out the trailers for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Which was cool. Look, I love The Mandalorian first couple seasons. I wasn't as enthused by the last one. Also, Book of Boba Fett really kind of soured in my eyes, but I do like the extended universe. I like The Mandalorian. I like Grogu. So, look, I'm gonna go see the movie. They don't need to keep making these trailers. Not for me. I'm gonna watch it anyway. I think if you were sort of casually into it, you might be like, okay, cool. They're doing Mandalorian stuff on the big screen. I'm just curious, does this translate into the big screen? I'm not convinced just yet. It looks like it's a Disney Plus show that's been put onto a movie theater. So we gonna see. Dave Filoni, he's partly in charge of the studio now. So this is his baby. Hopefully it does well. I think it probably will, just because it's Star Wars. Hopefully it's good. So also saw the trailer for the Mummy, or Lee Cronin's Mummy, coming to you. I believe it's from Blumhouse. It's definitely a horror thing. If you know Lee Cronin, he's kind of been doing horror-ish stuff. I believe he did the Invisible Man one, so he's just working his way through the Universal monsters, I guess. It's not like the Brendan Fraser one. It doesn't look fun. It looks like a scary movie about some little girl that got stuck in a mummy tomb and was found, and then now she's doing some shit. Shades of Pet Cemetery are definitely in it. I'm gonna go see it. It looks fun. It looks fun. Looks like it could be a good time. And Lee Cronin has not steered me wrong yet, so I'm pretty interested. Also saw the trailer for Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic. It looks interesting. I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna go see this. So I'm already dialed in. I'm gonna go see it. The trailer was not gonna turn me away. It does look a little. It looks. I don't want to say Disney-fied. That's a weird way to say it, but it definitely does look surreal, I guess you could say. There's obvious CG, and there's obvious just parts to make things look bigger than they are. But I do like the casting, and I like Michael Jackson, so I'm gonna go check it out. I don't know that the trailer necessarily made me more excited, but I'm into it. So, beyond that, getting caught up on Abbott Elementary. kind of banked a bunch of episodes of that. That continues to be an outstanding show. I love that show so much. I am just happy. It's a show where it's a little slice of life, but there's always funny stuff going on. It's very sharp writing. Characters are really good. I mean, look, if you're 5 seasons in, you're down with the characters, and I think they're doing a great job. I can't wait to get caught up some more. So that's all really the stuff I've kind of been up to this week. But I did do something that y'all know I do as much as I could over the last couple months. Not so much now because the wallet is kind of like empty. But I had caught a good deal last week on an action figure, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about nerding on a budget. That's of course where I hip y'all to where you can get cheap collectibles, and really it's just me showing off. I ain't gonna lie, I sit there and show off, but I will tell you where I acquired this. So the thing I had, now this came in right after last week's episode, so I've been sitting on it a week, but here you go. This is, if the glare's not so bad, this is the Batman anti-fire suit. It's a McFarlane Toys. It's from the new Batman Adventures. Very stylized. As you notice, it's not realistic. It's more stylized like the cartoon, so it's more Bruce Timm style. Very cool looking, very cool thing. I got this for like $10. I think, yeah, that sounds about right. About $10. It was on sale. I had a coupon with it on Amazon. You guys keep an eye out on Amazon. Yes, they're an evil empire. What the fuck isn't an evil empire right now? Almost everything you associate with is evil empire, but they do have pretty good sales. Check out Amazon Haul and just keep an eye out. I always do search terms, McFarlane Toys or DC Multiverse. I also check for Marvel Legends 6-inch action figures. I also check for Master of the Universe or Masterverse, really, because these are the three, that and Star Wars Black Series. Those are the ones I collect. I just want to keep an eye out if something hits a price point that makes sense to me. Like if you're gonna nerd on a budget, you have to really think on a budget. What are you willing to pay for something? So attach a price, attach a ceiling price to it. Keep an eye on that when you check the various sites. Amazon's a good one where you can just check periodically. Something might pop up and it'll just happen to be on sale. I do catch stuff like that. I think right now for me, my ceiling for Marvel Legends right now is something like 10 to $11. It depends on the figure, but 10 is a must buy. 11 or 12 is a maybe. We'll see. And that's per figure. So if you get a 2-pack and they're $20, I'm gonna buy that. It's a must buy for me. It's definitely a good way you can rack up on a bunch of figures without breaking the bank. Because I know some of them can run $30-$40. I don't do that. I'll never do that. So there's no figure that I like that much to do that. Similarly for the DC Multiverse from McFarlane Toys, I think it's $11 to $12 is my buy price, but 10 is a definite buy. So you guys, check out Amazon like that. They're a pretty decent source, especially if you're just starting to collect and you're collecting on a budget. You can get a bunch of figures for like a really good price. So anyway, that's my nerding on a budget for this week. So that means that we are going to we're going to talk about our items for the week, which is we're going to start off differently this week. I'm going to do the Black History Month spotlights. So we're going to talk about my Black superhero of the week and also Black History Month media spotlight, which I mentioned earlier. So, and after that, we are going to do the news. This is the news roundup, and what we're going to cover is dumbest comment of the week. Someone talking about the MCU and how badly off they are. We're going to just say how stupid this comment really is. Snyderverse fans are, putting their money where their mouth is, or at least their time, to try to restore the Snyderverse. What is that about? Believe it or not, I might have something positive to say about it. There's a synopsis of Spider-Man Brand New Day dropped because of an art book. What is it saying? What do we think about what it could mean for the wall crawler in this upcoming July? Um, as I mentioned before, the Netflix, Warner Brothers Discovery, Paramount love triangle, just the worst soap opera possible with that worst outcome that's going to ever be. So but we got to keep talking about it because DC Studios hangs in the balance. Ooh, yeah. So part of it, Netflix, I guess Paramount is not out of the running just yet. Also, David Ellison, who is the evil overlord of Paramount right now, Skydance, um, writes a letter to Congress complaining because that's what he's been doing for the last 2 months since Netflix won the bidding. And also, James Cameron comes out in favor of fascism. Oh, am I being overly hyperbolic? Maybe, but he did say some shit. So we got to talk about that. Then finally, we're going to talk about the Marvel Tocon X-Men team reveal, which caught some people by surprise last week, especially one character that people really didn't see coming. And if you're a fighting game fan, you really, really want to pay attention to this. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm gonna try to make it through with my voice not giving out. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Black History Month. It is February. We are damn near it. Look, it is February 21st. The, this short month's almost over, but we're not gonna let that stop us from talking about the black superheroes and that what they've contributed to the pop culture space. So this spotlight is really for me to wax poetic about a character that I've really liked for a long time, actually. And that character is Luke Cage. He is, he is the black exploitation era superhero that I think has kind of climbed the ranks to be really one of the great black superheroes in comics, like at all, but definitely in Marvel comics. And I understand, like my heroes tend towards Marvel. I was a Marvel kid. I really know Marvel more than DC. So, but that being said, Luke Cage was created in the 70s, really as in a response to the black exploitation, trend that was going on in movies. A lot of that happened. Exploitation films in the 70s were very big. So you got stuff like Shang-Chi to sort of like cash in on Kung Fu. You kind of got Werewolf by Night to cash in on the horror, a lot of the horror stuff. You got Luke Cage to cash in on the black exploitation era, and he is exactly what you might think a black person talks like if you were a white guy that only ever watched black exploitation films. And while I say that, I fucking love him. I actually went back and I bought the Marvel Essentials books, which are you guys may not be into those. Like this is about 20-ish years ago. Marvel was reprinting a lot of their old comics, and they were trying to do it on the cheap, so people just like buy it up to they wouldn't buy the really expensive hardcovers or trade paperbacks. So these were products or titles that maybe didn't have as much traction in the market. So they basically made these big, thick, telephone book style comics, kind of reprinting these, older runs. So you could get like Fantastic Four and so forth. So one of the ones I picked up back then was Luke Cage Power Man, which was, of course, what it ran in as in the 70s. And it really is one of my favorite comic books I've ever read. I've got both volumes. I also got the volume where Power Man and Iron Fist became a thing, where they combined their two exploitation heroes into one thing, the Heroes for Hire. And that's kind of what Luke Cage really kind of known for, that as a hero for hire. So his backstory is basically he gets, some trumped up charges sent him to prison. And of course, it's a prison run by racists who are experimenting on people, trying to make, trying to basically figure out how to make superpowers into people. Because, of course, you would. It's the Marvel Universe. Ever since Captain America's been around, they were always trying to make another Captain America, literally. So they, illegally experiment on Luke Cage. That's not his name at the time. His name is Carl Lucas, but they experiment on him, and lo and behold, he doesn't die like he should, but instead he gets dope ass powers. One of the powers is he becomes super strong. He becomes virtually impervious to harm, right? And that's more than enough. He's basically like, the Thing if he were a black man. That's and he basically breaks out of prison and then assumes a new likeness. He goes to Harlem, assumes a new name, Luke Cage, and doesn't have any work. So he basically is like, look, I got superpowers. Why don't I just, there's superheroes. Why don't I just do this for money? I'll just put an ad out. I'm a hero for hire. If y'all need me to go bust some heads or whatever, pay me. I got you. Um, and so he proceeds to just do that. Now, over the course of, the two volumes, which is, I want to say it's something like 30 or maybe 40 odd issues. He runs into, all sorts of like hustlers and criminals, and some of them are super powered and some of them are not. And um, hell, he at one point he fights Doctor Doom and chases him down because Doctor Doom doesn't pay him the $200 he was supposed to owe him. It's very funny interaction between the two of them. Um, he basically, and he I think he has like enemies like Cottonmouth, and um he runs into the Avengers. All sorts of stuff happens. It's a really, really fun comic. Especially if you are a fan of black exploitation. I will also say it's pretty clear that a black person's not writing this stuff. Like if you really look at it, it's clear, but it's a white person that's pretty much like what would happen in a black exploitation film. So to that end, it can be really fun. But it also lays the foundation for him as a character in the future because he doesn't get much play in the 80s. I think he had like a mini series in the 80s. Doesn't get a ton of play in the 90s. Like he's a character, but like he shows up, but he doesn't really get a lot of play. But like most things, they come around in cycles. And writers, as they matriculate, as they become more professional, as they get opportunities, they're given kind of the ability to do whatever the hell they want with characters they want. And so one of these people, writers, that who apparently had read the Heroes for Hire and knew and even loved Luke Cage was Brian Michael Bendis. Brian Michael Bendis, if you are a Marvel head at all, he was a huge, huge creator at Marvel in the 2000s, like for damn near 20 years. And he did a stint at DC for a while, but he's back at Marvel now. Huge, huge creator. Very, very foundational for a lot of things that in the MCU now. A lot of things and for instance, he did Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man is very much a kind of the inspiration for the MCU Spider-Man. That said, he basically destroys the Avengers and creates new Avengers. Literally, this book's called New Avengers. And who do you think he gets to be one of the main players in the New Avengers? It is, of course, Luke Cage. And this is not he's not the same one from the 70s. He is, but he's changed because in the 70s he was literally wearing a tiara. He had like this yellow shirt wide open. He got like a chain. He looked honestly, he looked like he could have been a pro wrestler, if I'm being honest. But he had like a chain, this real chain around it as a belt. He was, saying "Sweet Christmas" and all this other stuff. He had this jive talk. But this is a more updated version, and he becomes front and center in the New Avengers as they sort of, they reconstitute the team, and he's, one of their powerhouses, and really, honestly, one of their moral, and he's one of the moral center of the team. This is a team that's a lot different than you would expect. So having him on there was a big deal, and it really upped his cachet in Marvel Comics. We find out that he had a former relationship with Jessica Jones, who's a character that Brian Michael Bendis created. as a pseudo legacy hero. And they end up having a relationship. They get married. They have a kid. Um, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. He leads the new Avengers during Secret Invasion. He leads the Avengers, post Secret Invasion, where Dark Reign happens, and then the new Avengers are basically outlaws. And he later goes on to do a lot of things. He becomes mayor of New York City, which is wild, but he does after Wilson Fisk was mayor. Which I want to say, Marvel New Yorkers, what the hell? How I don't even understand how you elect Fisk, but whatever. But yeah, so he's become like quite a huge character. I loved him in the 70s iteration. I really loved him in Bendis's iteration of him. I have not read the comics more recently. Probably, honestly, I haven't been caught up on them in the last like 10, 15 years. But those versions of him, I really, really loved him. I think Luke Cage is a dope, dope character. A great black character, actually. One of his things is as a hero, he really was a hero in the sense of keeping the streets safe where in his neighborhood and like connecting with the community, all that stuff. He really brought the Avengers more down to earth, so that they're not just fighting aliens; they're also fighting for the good fight for regular people. Really, really cool. Again, I love this character. I highly recommend go back if you're on Marvel Unlimited. Go read his original, the run in the 70s. I know it can be seem a little cheesy, but it's super super fun. And read his exploits and Bendis's run on the New Avengers, and just check him out. Like I think that he's a character, well worth investigating, and definitely one of my favorite comic book superheroes of all time. So that takes us to our Black History Media Spotlight. You guys, we were gonna talk about Black Panther this week, but I want to save that so I can talk with Polly about it. So this week instead, my Black History Media Spotlight is a comic book. Yes, that's right. Mo read a comic book. I know, surprise. But I want to say last Friday, not last Friday, like a week ago, literally a week ago, I just kind of woke up and for whatever reason, this comic book was on my mind and that I hadn't read it. It's Black History Month. How have I not read this comic book? Wild, right? Because it's called Black, literally, and I had read the synopsis. It's been on my wish list. I just hadn't gotten to it. Okay, cool. So I wanted to buy it physically. Good God, the physical copy is expensive. Apparently it was a Kickstarter, so there's not a ton floating around. Okay, cool. How about the digital? Let's get digital. I didn't love the price on it. It was like $15. I mean, for a digital thing, what the hell? But I bought it. Fine. I'll treat myself. I bought it. I want to see what this is about. It seems appropriate for Black History Month. Black is, I won't bury the lead. I really like this comic. I liked it enough that I'm curious why the fuck there isn't a follow up. I mean, there are tie-ins, but there's a follow called White. It is the direct sequel, but I mean, why was there not more volumes of it? I don't know. There's a total of 4 volumes. There are different tie-ins. So I just read the first volume. So the book, it's by the writer Kwanzaa, make sure I'm saying this right, Osajyefo. And the story is essentially, in what if our world, but secretly there are people with superpowers. But here's the catch: only black people can get it. Only black people can get superpowers. Nobody else in the world, right? No other ethnicity has superpowers. Just black people. And because only black people get these powers, that's why all the oppression and anti-blackness has been going on in the world, and they're trying to keep black people, under the boot heel, essentially. And also, a lot of the technological advancements have basically been as a result of experimenting and exploiting these black people with superpowers. And apparently this was first discovered, I guess, by Europeans in the 1500s, but this also might account for, legendary heroes across time. So black people have been able to do this for a long time. And if honestly, if you really think about it, this would explain legendary, people across, the world, that are legendary to many people, because if people, Africans basically, were able to have superpowers, um, that means that every ethnicity on the planet is the result of a diaspora of black, Africans. That means at some point in the past, somebody in their tribe probably had a power. Um, but apparently, it's getting more. There more and more people are getting these powers, and the powers it's bullshit science. It's like they say quarks in the bloodstream. It's bullshit science. But like all superhero things, you just have to start with one bullshit thing to ask that you believe, and everything else follows from that. So to that effect, it's look, I'll buy it. There's some way people get superpowers. Africans are the only ones that get it. Cool. This has been going on for a long time, and it explains slavery, it explains Jim Crow, etc., mass incarceration, all that good stuff. So what we learn about all of this from our POV character, who was they call him. He eventually calls himself X, but he basically gets shot by police, just cause walking while black, essentially. But he doesn't die. He finds out, oh, I can't really be killed because I got superpowers, and he gets whisked away by a secret organization whose entire entire MO is to find, basically like X-Men, to find black people who have powers, kind of, get them out of the clutches of the government, who are going to definitely experiment on them, and then, keep them safe and out of the way, so they, teach them how to use their power so they don't harm other people, and then rinse and repeat, basically. Meanwhile, there's a corporation who know about this, have means to capture people with superpowers, and are exploiting them. Run by some white people, probably racist white people, but they know about it. Their whole thing is also to keep it quiet that there are black people with superpowers, because if the world found out only black people had superpowers, it would just up the upheaval. Now, I will also note that this was written in the time of Trump, right around time Trump was coming around, or about to be elected. So this is all within the Black Lives Matter sphere, everything like that. And I would probably argue it probably is a response to some of that stuff. But what it poses the question, like, all right, if only black people get superpowers, what do the black people with superpowers do? And it's a bit of a Malcolm Martin situation, where you have a bad guy, the Magneto of the situation, named O, and he's a lot more militant, and he wants to break people out. He wants to break out people from out of the prisons, let everybody in the world know what's really going on, and just start the fight for liberation. Meanwhile, the other organization is more concerned with the possibility of kind of a genocide against black people in general, in order to make sure that powered black people are not, around. And then, of course, the exploitation of them by these corporations and the government. And X is kind of caught in all of this. And it just kind of follows him, getting up to speed, getting his powers together. There's a bit of a matrixy feel to, like, he's sequestered away, then he comes out. Everybody's after him because his quirk is like very special, to the point that actually they might be able to take his blood and turn it into like superpowers for white people, which is really the goal of all the experimentation. And the differing philosophies. Whose side is he going to join? Is he going to join the, let's just save everybody and keep everything quiet? So is he going to join O, who is more revolutionary? How can he stay away from the the clutches of the evil, the man? And there's a lot of fun stuff in there. This book introduces a lot of characters really quickly. It's X-Men-ish, very very X-Men-ish. That's an obvious inspiration, but it's very black. Look, what else can I say about the comic book? It's very black, super black, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate that it's clearly written by a black person about black people and not kind of sanding away the edges or anything. It really is just kind of like these are black people from all over, all different sorts of black people doing all sorts of things. It's very cool. I have to say, very like it's so cool. I really want to see what else happens. Where they end the first volume, clearly there's so much more story to go. They kind of dropped the bomb on the world and black people would have superpowers. So now how does the world respond? We got to read later volumes. It's so good actually. I really want them to adapt this. And apparently about 5 almost 6 years ago, Warner Brothers acquired the rights to this story, and there was a screenplay. Have not heard a word about it since. So, in this current climate, considering everything that's going on, considering that in 2020, Discovery had not taken over Warner Brothers yet, I would not be surprised if this was just shelved. They paid the people money to have the rights. They're not going to do anything with it because I think Hollywood, they do not have the courage to adapt a story like this. They don't have the courage to adapt a story where it's instead they'll do X-Men as because it's allegorically about minorities and their struggle or whatever. But they won't do a straight up not Alec. It's they're cool with subtext. They're not cool with just text where it's just literally black people with superpowers fighting white supremacy. They're not going to do that. Good luck getting that greenlit. Beside the fact, it would be very expensive to make. Truth be told, even if we were in the middle of the Marvel, superhero bubble, it would still be hella expensive to make because there are literally dozens of characters in here with varying powers. There's all sorts. This would be I mean, you could easily spend $150 million just to make this work. And the subject matter is such that I don't know that you could get your money back for it. If anything, it should be animated. If they animate it, cool, it would work. But it's really good. I recommend the only way you can read this is you gotta either get on Amazon, get it through Kindle. I think you can buy it hard copy. It's pretty expensive, so I just recommend look again, Evil Empire Amazon, but it's where you can get it. But it's really worth reading, and I intend to read the other 3 volumes and really get a handle on the rest of this story. So anyway, that's what my Black History Month superhero media spotlight is for this week. Go check it out. So that takes us to our news. What's the dumbest comment of the week? And boy, you know how hard you have to work to have the dumbest comment of the week on social media? There is so much stupidity floating around just in the superhero space, just in the comic book nerd space. So many stupid points of view being shared. But you know what? Let's give the Hollywood Outsider, let's give them a round of applause for the stupidest thing I saw about superhero media all week. So it reads, this is on Threads. It reads, it was 3 years ago today that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania released and became the first very tangible indication that the Marvel Cinematic Universe was in trouble. Floating MODOK head, Kang's nap sandwich of a villain, overwrought CGI, a lifeless story that was supposed to be about a family, yet no one on screen seemed to care. Most importantly, superhero action that bored us into a coma. The MCU still hasn't recovered. Well, a lot. There's a lot to be said there. First of all, I will say maybe I'm in the minority. I really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Um, I had a good time with it. I did not understand people's dislike of it. Whatever, it's fine. Not everything's for everybody, and I could be just in the minority. That's fine. Um, but that's the first indication that they're in trouble. Like I will, and so other people were reminded this poster on Threads that same year Deadpool and Wolverine came out. Like there, post Endgame, there have been some very successful movies. Guardians 3 came out after Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So what's this idea that the MCU is in trouble? This is, I get it, inflated expectations. Phase 3 was, you know, super duper successful. It was a build up to, it built up to a point. It got really, it got really high. It ended on a really super high note. Um, but really, the first indication that the MCU was in trouble was that movie when they went on to have other big ass films. This is high. They call it Monday morning quarterbacking. Um, because there is, look, were the returns have the returns been as high as Phase 3? No, I think it'd be silly to think it would be, but there have been some really huge, points post Endgame. There really have. Um, and singling out Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as if, hey, that's the canary in the coal mine, that things are terrible. When right after that big movie, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why the fuck would you not focus on the Marvels, which did terribly at the box office. That's a more tangible, oh no, we're in trouble situation. And I suspect this is, look, I don't want to even say this is an engagement or, bait or anything like that. I don't, I don't, I mean, sure, maybe they posted that for engagement, but I can see this being a very sincere thought. My problem with it is it also betrays a distinct lack of engagement with the MCU. How engaged with the MCU can you be if you're saying that's where it was clear things are going downhill. There have been great things that have come out since then. If anything, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania revealed that their handling of Kang was bad, but the actual handling of the rest of the MCU, I don't know. I don't see that. There have been really great things coming out of the MCU since that movie came out. That movie just fumbled Kang. And also, it coincided with the fact that Jonathan Majors fumbled his fucking career. So, yeah, were some aspects of it, not up to people's liking? Sure. But, the numbers don't lie. There have been huge movies after that came out. Hell, Fantastic Four, it didn't quite get as hyped as it should have, in my opinion, but it still did quite well. Guardians 3 did, really quite well. What was it? Wakanda Forever? All these other movies. This is just a stupid comment. There's this desire by people to seem like, they knew, they knew, oh man, MCU, the MCU's, luster is tarnished or whatever. And there's this tendency to kind of want to jump on them for being just a good, turning out just good movies instead of like all-time greats. It's weird, and I don't understand it to be, well, I guess I do understand it. It's just not a good take that actually relates to what's actually going on, and just kind of dumb. So anyway, y'all go dog. Well, don't go dogpiling, but you get what I'm saying. Like, shoot silly stuff like this down, or you know, just hit not interested because it's really ridiculous. Um, Speaking of ridiculous things on the internet, we got to talk about the Snyder stands. They're at it again, but you may be surprised. I'm kind of with them on this. Sort of. Let me explain. So, there was a post I saw on Threads about Snyder fans trying to hashtag restore the Snyderverse, but instead of trying to get millions of dollars from a studio to try to make this shit happen, instead of pursuing idiotic hashtags or letter, I don't want to say letter writing campaigns, but social media campaigns to get Netflix to buy the Snyderverse from WB, instead of shitting on James Gunn and everything like that. Instead of doing that, all of these things that in the past I have been very, very down on them. Like, I've been very critical of the Snyder stands and their foolishness when it comes to that stuff, and how somewhat cult like they act when it comes to that thing. I've been very down on them about that. But I said, you can go back and watch the times I've talked about this. I won't quote a particular episode because I don't freaking remember. But, ask Polly, I've said this before. Why don't y'all turn that, all of this energy that y'all have to go on social media and harass people about James Gunn's Superman and the DCU and her, doing all these hashtags, and y'all spend money on stupid ass things. Instead, redirect all of that energy into creativity. It's called fan fiction, my people. Everybody, fan fiction. If you don't like what you saw, go write what you think you wanted to see. Make it happen. Fanfiction.net and other Wattpad shit exists. I've yet to see anybody that says hashtag restore the Snyderverse to say, hey guys, I wrote my alternate version of what would have happened. I wrote Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. Oh, I wrote Zack Snyder's Justice League. No, I've never seen that. I've just seen a lot of fucking bitching and moaning on the internet and with hashtags. So apparently, though, some fans are putting their money, or at least their time, where their mouth is, and they are trying to restore the Snyderverse using AI. The idea here being they're going to use the generative AI that everyone fucking hates, with any sense that everyone hates, even though they've been posting the shit out of all sorts of things online, on Threads. But they're going to use generative AI and Zack Snyder's storyboards for what he would have done that are apparently publicly available, taking those and, I'm assuming writing a script or whatever, and actually trying to make his vision come to pass, with the use of AI. Now, that's problematic in a way because generative AI is really bad. And I don't mean bad, like, it can make stuff that looks fine. That's not what I mean. It's bad environmentally. It's a drain on electricity. It's a drain on fresh water. It pollutes. It has made, computer, CPU costs and all this other stuff really fucking expensive. And it's a bit of a bubble, but I mean, look, if you're gonna do it, I mean, there are worse things that you could be putting this towards. And I'm genuinely curious what they're going to do. Because one of the things that bugged the shit out of me about a lot of these Snyder stands is the sense of entitlement. And entitlement to sit back and wait for somebody to deliver the shit that you want, right? I was not impressed, and I did not respect the sentiment, because to me, you're not really that invested. Or, like I said, where's the fan fiction? Well, here's your chance. Here's fan fiction. You literally can make this happen. I've seen, AI, videos where people like, this is what Superman, versus Odd or whatever could have been. Okay, cool. Make it. Make the shit happen. So in that sense, look, Snyder stands, I'm on your side on this one. I don't love that y'all are using AI, but I mean, it could be worse. It could be used to be making deep fake bullshit that gets people to believe dumb shit. But in this case, yeah, hey, make your little fan movie. If y'all make a 2 hour movie, literally make a 2 hour movie with generative AI that's actually not straight hot garbage, I will be impressed. And again, I support you guys. Direct that all that energy into making this shit happen. Get with all of your other Snyder Stan buddies and stop being log off of X or Twitter or whatever, log off of social media and get to work. And gets Justice League 2 and Man of Steel and all that shit. Get to work. I can't wait to see what you do. So I'll let you guys know if they actually do anything, if we see anything from this, and we'll talk about it then. We get some news from some no, not an insider source. I guess it's an official source. We've been getting a lot of stuff about Spider-Man Brand New Day from like people like Daniel RPK and you know these kind of insiders, but now we're getting actually official word, and that comes from a synopsis that was in the art book, The Making of Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is apparently coming out. It's going to coincide with the movie, and but they posted this, just so you could pre-order. So, mm, excuse me. Ooh, I need something to drink. All this talking. But yeah, we got a synopsis, and I have to say, pretty interesting. It's actually pretty interesting. So it goes like this. I'm going to read it verbatim. 4 years have gone by since we last caught up with our friendly neighborhood friendly neighborhood hero. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. In order to take on what's ahead, Spider-Man not only needs to be at the top of his physical and mental game, but he must also be prepared to face the repercussions of his past. First of all, a mystery larger than he's ever faced before. I guess so. I guess it's mystery, because I was about to say, fighting Thanos out there, that's big deal stuff. But whatever. He's a street level hero now. And one thing that kind of people keyed on this, and you should have too, is 4 years have gone by. That means last time we saw Peter, obviously he had erased himself from everybody's memory. Nobody really knows who he is. He's just he's undocumented. Let's keep it real. My man is undocumented. ICE is going to be breaking in at any moment and hauling him off to parts unknown. He's gonna be in Costa Rica before we know it. El Salvador, wherever that was. Now, but he erased himself, and we saw that MJ and Ned, excuse me, don't know who he is, and so he's just kind of living a new life away from all of that. We thought the next time we saw him, we might see him in his college years, because he was getting his GED. He was going to go off to college, but apparently we're going to miss that, because he goes from being 18 to 22 years old, and presumably college is in the rear view. He's been doing the superhero thing for a while, and he's been doing all the things that we expect a regular neighborhood Spider-Man can. Catching bad guys like flies, all that good stuff. And we also know Punisher's going to be in it. We know we have a pretty good idea of Hulk's going to be in it. We still don't know who Sadie Sink is going to be, but there's all sorts of speculation. I think it's very interesting to do a time skip. It also makes sense because if y'all remember, aside from that 5-year time skip that we saw, that then in 2018 or 2019, there was a 5-year time skip. Up until that point, a year in our world was the same as a year in the MCU. So technically, in 2019, they were 5 years in advance of us, right? So a time skip here would make sense, because it's been a few years since since we last saw him. That would catch him up, literally since the movie. So that would catch us up. That would catch us up chronologically to where the MCU is now. Which the last thing we saw in the MCU was Wonder Man and was Ironheart and Wonder Man. Those are the last things. And Daredevil season one, Born Again season one. So by the time we catch up to it, these are all happen. Those literally happen. And what's it? Well, last year was 20. So those would have happened within the world of the MCU, would have happened in 2030. Yeah. If and I'm wrong. Daredevil would have happened in 2030. But Ironheart technically should have come out a year or two before, so it'll have been 2028, and Wonder Man similarly 2028, 2029. Anyway, so the time skip will make sense. It would catch up to where Daredevil is essentially, which is important because that would bring Punisher back into the game. Remember, Daredevil Born Again, Punisher was off the grid until he was kind of basically called back into action by Matt Murdock in Born Again. So if this is taking place, and remember, Punisher's in this, taking place post Daredevil Born Again, the time skip is very important. Beyond that, not too much else said in this. Just an interesting little tidbit for us who we still ain't got a trailer. So we got to grasp it at whatever we can, whatever little web that we can find, we got to pull on it. There's a big mystery. Who knows? Is Fisk going to be involved? Nobody knows. But we're very interested. Well, I'm very interested to see how the stuff in Daredevil plays out in this, if at all. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on more information about Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we'll talk about it when it comes out. So, as Lamb Chop said, this is the song that doesn't end. That, of course, is the Paramount, Warner Bros. Discovery, Netflix, love-hate triangle. This is everything about this is terrible. I will every time we talk about this, I'm going to say it. This is horrible. This entire situation sucks. This situation, and this whole situation was set up years ago when David Zaslav and Discovery took over Warner Brothers, which at the time, financially they weren't doing that hot, and I believe it was it Time Warner wanted to get rid of them, but this was set up from then. Even they were even talking about that Zaslav was just doing a flip. He was going to flip your house, or in this case, flip your studio. Well, here we are, and the worst thing possible is happening, which is you and I get to sit and watch the attempt, which I think will be successful, to create a state media conglomerate that is going to be nonstop, pro-Trump, pro-MAGA shit. And so Paramount, that's why Paramount even gives a shit about Warner Bros. Discovery. Keep in mind something, as I haven't gotten to this particular topic yet. Keep in mind, Paramount was just acquired by Skydance Media. Just acquired. The ink's barely dry on the shit. David Ellison became, of Skydance, got his, amassed his billions and got other people to get in so that he could buy Paramount. So that means that they are in debt. Remember this. They are in debt. When Skydance bought, merged or whatever with Paramount, that costs something. So they don't have money. I'm telling you, like, for real, they don't have money. They just spent a fuck ton to get Paramount. All right, cool. And in the course of getting Paramount, Skydance and their, Ellisons, they are pro-Trump. They've been doing bullshit with CBS. They want CNN for the same shit. Again, they are trying to build a state-run media for their fascist regime. It's just true. It is just true. You don't have to like it. It's just true. We're watching this shit unfold in real time. Um, and so when Warner Brothers Discovery, they didn't even say we are for sale. Paramount was like, we got money. We want you. We got money. Like, come, that we come out, come go to lunch with us. We want to marry you, right? So they had to entertain the offers, but they weren't. I mean, they weren't super hot on it. I suspect there's some personal shit between Zaslav and the Ellisons, but I fuck if I know. They're all these rich guys they're doing all sorts of weird oligarch shit. How the fuck would I know? It just feels like it because Paramount, they were willing to pay extra money and they were doing all sorts of House of Cards bullshit to pay for it. And they, Warner Brothers picks Netflix, and they spent the last 2.5 months bitching and complaining about it and doing everything in the world to convince this girl to go to prom with them. It's fucking creepy and it's weird. But it makes sense if you understand that ultimate goal is to build this state media empire. Which makes this next bit of news sucky because Warner Brothers is like, fine, maybe we'll go out with you. What do you got? Their Netflix was like, okay, fine, you can reopen the negotiations with Paramount. Which this all stinks of like some collusion and some bullshit. Because why would Netflix do that? They even changed their offer. But they're like, no, we're, fine. You can go talk to them. You get a week to talk to them. That's what they're doing this week. Paramount is sweetening the deal significantly. Like the amount they want for Paramount is obscene. It's like, I think last time I checked it was 108 billion. It's probably going to go up. Honestly, I think Zaslav is like, how much can I get these motherfuckers for? I really think he is trying to figure out how far along can I string them? Like, what's their breaking point? And if that's his deal, fuck, man, look. If we're gonna have a state-run media empire in the United States, make them motherfuckers pay for it. Make them really, really pay. Like, let them expose how deep and how far they're willing to go to make this shit happen, to basically get CNN. If I'm being completely honest, this really is just about CNN. Like, everything else is just fucking icing on the cake. So they're gonna renegotiate. I really am curious. What's the number where they're like, you know what? No fucking way. No way is it worth this. I suspect this is one of those deals where Netflix is just going to be like, they're at an auction. He's just going to keep putting the thing up. He don't have that money. He just want to see if this other dumbass is going to like run the game, run the number up. So to that end, like, again, this sucks, but I did see this coming. If you follow what I've said about this before, I said that Paramount would be doing everything in their power to make to get Netflix out of the way and to get their way. And that ultimately they would succeed because, in my opinion, it would succeed because they know Trump. And Trump is like, yay, I love these guys. Which incidentally was funny enough that the Paramount, their potential merger or even hostile takeover of Warner Bros. Discovery has been approved, surprised by the Security and Exchange Commission. Here's a surprise, or is it FEC? Whatever, one of the government bodies that looks over this stuff. Here's a surprise. Even though Paramount taking over Warner Bros. Discovery is hugely monopolistic, it should not even be allowed to go through. There's no fucking way it should be allowed to go through. But hey, they've been given the okay because sucking Trump's dick really gets you places in this world. But again, not surprised at all by that. None of this shit has surprised me. I'm not kidding. Not a thing that has happened has surprised me. It's disappointed the fuck out of me, sure. Not surprised me. I'm look when when Veruca Salt, when she wants something, her dad's gonna fucking do what he can to get it. And Veruca really wants a Warner Brothers Discovery. So I guess we'll keep an eye on this and see where this goes. Well, at the end of this week, we should know more about this coming week. We should know more about it, and I suspect it's going to be a ridiculous number. And I think Warner Brothers is going to back out of the deal because even Paramount even was like, look, we'll even pay Netflix their whatever, we'll even pay Netflix's, I think they agreed that it was like $5.8 billion if the deal didn't go through, they'd have to pay to Warner Brothers. They're like, we'll even pay that. They're just throwing money at this. That's how you know they're up to no good. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this and talk about it when we find out more information. Oh, you thought we were done? Ha! I wish I could insert that fucking meme, the J. Jonah Jameson one. You thought we were done? That's hilarious. No, the shit keeps moving. David Ellison lies to Congress about the competition. This is just a short little thing. I mean, he's an Ellison, of course he's fucking lying, but he wrote this is Paramount being fucking weird, not being able to take no for an answer. They've been petitioning everyone around. Everyone like, look, help us make this happen. Look, I really, really want to marry this girl. Can't y'all do anything to like pressure her into it? Like, technically, if everyone else agrees that we should be married, we should be married. That's the weird shit they're doing. So he wrote a letter to Congress to basically say this will be anti-competitive. Look, Netflix, they don't give a shit about theatrical. They're just going to ruin the theatrical experience. The theatrical industry is super important. We're going to make sure we put out 30 movies a year, and like Netflix would have a monopoly over to everything. Bitch, what the fuck you think? It's Skydance, Paramount, and then Warner Brothers Discovery. You don't think that's a fucking monopoly? If it's not a straight up monopoly, it's a huge swath of the theatrical and the studio business. That's a huge part of it. You gonna talk about competition and monopolies and shit? Get out of here. They're saying, look, if they take over HBO Max, they'll have like a de facto monopoly over streaming, which is probably true. I mean, everyone likes HBO Max, everyone likes Netflix, everyone has them. But who gives a fuck? I'm so serious. Who cares? Who cares if they own all of that streaming? Because that's Paramount bitching because their streaming service is like small potatoes. Oh well, whose fault is that? Get your game up, get your muscle up, dog. You think you want Paramount to compete on the Netflix level? Get in there and make shit worthwhile. You came late to the party and wondering why you so far behind. Well, that's your problem. But beyond that, again, they are building a state media empire in our faces. Why do I don't care about the monopoly on streaming. I really don't. Because if we get a state-run media, it won't fucking matter. It seriously won't matter. I suppose the worst thing that could happen after that is once Skydance Paramount takes over HBO Max, then they like, Netflix, let's have you too. Then they'll have an actual monopoly over streaming, but then it'll be fine because it's for the conservative cause, right? But he just fucking lies about that. Like, I mean, I'll be fair to him. He's not wrong about the idea about a monopoly. I think the lies to me are more about that this is about competition and whatever. They don't care about that. If this were about fucking competition, they wouldn't be trying to acquire everybody. They would just be like, we're going to do what we do and we're going to outcompete everybody. That's not the way it works in this media landscape. The bigger ones want to gobble up the smaller ones, or they want to subsume their rivals or something like that. Competition is not the reason for this. The reason why they're bitching about it is because Warner Brothers picking Netflix gets in the way of you having CNN, which is fucking weird because Netflix don't even fucking want CNN. At least not the cable channel. They don't give a shit about the cable. Maybe they'll want CNN as a brand on their combined HBO Max Netflix. Maybe they'll want that, but they don't want the cable channel. But that's what, again, that is what Paramount wants, and Skydance and the Ellisons want. So this is just throwing shit at the wall. No one believes that you care about competition, David Ellison. No one fucking believes it. It's a lie. You don't care about that. You will say anything you can to get your way. And, if some dumbass in Congress actually thinks you're, above board, first of all, they're a dumbass, or they're already compromised, so it doesn't fucking matter. So either way, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. Again, you thought we were done. Insert J. Jonah Jameson meme once again. We're not done. We're still talking about this freaking potential merger. But it's not because these people did anything stupid. Because James Cameron weighed in on this. A lot of people actually in the industry have been weighing in on this. I think the most reasonable reaction to all of this merger talk is nobody should merge with them at all. Like at all. No, there should be no merger. Warner Brothers Discovery needs to stay by itself, and keep Netflix away from them, keep Paramount away from them. That's the way I think too. That's exactly how I think. I've hated the idea that this was going to happen for years now, because this has been on the table for years now. I've hated it. I've hated it once they, mentioned it late last year. I've hated every step of the way. I know it seems, oh, Mo, you really want, you're really rooting for Netflix. I am, but I don't want them to win. That's, y'all don't understand. I mean, if I have to die from poison, should it be fast acting or slow acting? Should it be something that it'll give me time to maybe, get an antidote, or something that'll kill me immediately? That's how I'm feeling like with this whole situation. So I don't want Netflix to win, but I want them to win if Paramount is the other alternative. You get what I'm saying? So this has always been horrible. I don't want any of this to happen, but if I gotta have one of them, it's the one that's the least likely to turn into state-run media. That's all. So that being said, James Cameron, good old James Cameron of Avatar, Titanic, Terminator, blah. You know him, you love him. He had some things to say. I won't quote him exactly. I'm just going to paraphrase. He essentially was like, Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery would be terrible because it would mess up theatrical. They don't care about the theatrical experience. They will ruin the industry, and we need to stop that. Yeah, but also no. God, this is the shit that fucking pisses me off about people. They're so focused on just their shit. They don't see the larger picture. And I'm going to be completely frank about how I view this. This is a rich white man who is going to be completely, or not completely, mostly untouched by what the fascists do. He'll be fine. He's rich and he's white and a dude. You can't get more insulated from problems than that. And all he really cares about is he has the privilege of being able to not care about the other fascist stuff and just care about his industry and how it affects him, which is exactly why we got the fuck where we are now. It's people being worried about just themselves and not thinking, oh, harm to other people might eventually rebound to me. Yes, motherfucker, you got to think further than your industry. Which, by the way, if Paramount takes over Warner Brothers Discovery, you're still in the same fucking situation as you are right now, which is the shrinking of the release window and streaming still fucking nipping at the heels of theatrical. We're no, if Paramount takes over, it's no fucking different. And I don't, they're talking about they're going to put out 30 movies a year. I mean, maybe, but who, okay, so what? You didn't say shit about the release window. Said nothing about that. I mean, like, and Netflix has already kind of responded to this. They're like, look, yeah, we're streaming and whatever, but we're gonna maintain the studio, and we'll have a 40. They're even saying like we'll have a 45-day release window, and before it goes out on the digital, VOD, et cetera, et cetera. The same situation it is pretty much right now. That's basically what it is right now. Now, you could argue, oh well, why would you take Sarandos and Netflix's word at this? They could just be saying that just to get this deal done. Yeah, they could be, but so could Paramount be saying about, oh yeah, we're gonna put out 30 movies a year. They could be just saying that shit too. There's nothing in the contract that said they have to do that shit. There's not they could fucking switch up as soon as the ink is on the contract. So if you're looking at it that way, they're all a bunch of rich assholes. Of course they could be lying. But really the way I really want to fucking go hard on Cameron is this myopic bullshit where he's so fucking worried about, look, I get it. This is your industry. You're worried about it going downhill, not being, even viable within the next 20 years. I get it. I hear you. I'm just worried about the United States of America not being viable in the next 20 years. That's what I'm worried about. And one of the main tools, one of the main instruments that's going to get us, is going to make us a non-viable country, at least one where I can live comfortably and safely, is going to be a state-run media enterprise. It is. State-run media. Look, ask Polly. Polly's talked about this before. She's from Russia, so she knows this shit. When their media became essentially state-run media, it was horrible. The place is not good. And it's never been good where just state media has been, been able to churn out lies and bullshit, right? We already got enough of that stuff on the right-wing, media channels and social media, etc. We have enough of that. But this is seriously taking the reins. It's already taken the reins of one news organization and have subverted it. They're going to try to take another one. You're worried about your little industry. I'm not saying your industry is little, but you're worried about your industry to the detriment of the country. That's the problem I have with this. And if you don't think that that's true, you're not fucking paying attention. James Cameron, you are a privileged man that has the ability that if shit hits the fan, you will be fine. Which means that you really should be stepping back and being like, all right, what actually, I'll be fine, but what about everybody else? You're just worried about the damn movie industry. I mean, the movie industry very well could be trash, just propaganda, even more propaganda. You don't think that, Paramount, Skydance, Paramount taking over HBO or taking over Warner Brothers might have something to do with their output too. Like it's wild that this is just your thing. You're so fucking short-sighted about this. It's fucking crazy. And I'm not the only person that thinks this. Because Mark Ruffalo, and you saw on the on the image, Mark Ruffalo was there for a reason. He basically said on social media, okay, cool. Did you ask all these fucking questions about Paramount? Did you ask all, what about Paramount? Or can we trust them? Basically the same shit I'm saying. This is like, I don't respect this. I don't respect this sentiment. I get it. But my God, if you really think that Netflix is a bigger problem than Paramount, something's fucking wrong with you. Like you really are, either you are drinking the Kool-Aid already, or you're so fucking blinded by your privilege that you don't see that we have bigger fish to fry, man. Let's worry about, look, let's save democracy first. Then we can worry about the damn, you know, the movie industry, the theatrical industry. We can worry about, save democracy first. We'll get to that afterwards. We can do that. But it's very possible that we can lose democracy and then your industry will be fucked up and you ain't got nothing to do. So like chill, like get it together. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, I don't respect that. You need to have your priorities are fucking weird, and I need better from you. Because I really respect Jim Cameron otherwise, but that's some crazy shit. Anyway, rant over. Let's go ahead and talk about something more fun than that. That is Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, which is a fighting game that is coming out. But I want to say that when is this coming out? I think it's coming out in May. That sounds about right. I believe it is coming out in May. You can pre-order it on Steam right now. But it is a fighting game. It's a tag fighter. Oh, I'm completely wrong. It's coming out in August 6th. Either way, it is coming out in August. There was a PlayStation live stream where they were just like previewing or showing trailers and gameplay and all that stuff from other games. This is one of the games that was featured. I'm a fighting game fan. Also, this is a superhero thing, and people do love a Marvel superhero beat 'em up or fighting game. Everyone loves Marvel versus Capcom. That is not what this game is. I'm just telling you, if you expect a Marvel versus Capcom, not it. But it is. It's a Japanese tag fighter. People are pretty excited. People are in the betas. Not me, which is some bullshit. But whatever. I'm not. I'm not salty. I'm not salty. But they released a trailer for the X-Men, which to this point we knew Wolverine was going to be in it. We already saw Storm. She was one of the major characters in the demo. People seem to really like her and her style. But we hadn't seen the rest of the X-Men characters. So this trailer did reveal that we're getting two other X-Men characters, and they are Magic and they are Danger. Now, Magic, if you've been reading Marvel comics recently, she's had a pretty prominent role. I believe she has had a recent miniseries. This is kind of a character from the second generation of mutants, if you will, from the early '80s. Claremont. I don't know if Chris Claremont. He didn't create her, but he kind of like leveled her up, if you will. So this Ilyana Rasputin, who is of course the sister of Piotr Rasputin, aka Colossus. She is a mutant. She has dope ass power. She can do magic. She also has she can summon a sword. She can at one point her powers are. I mean, she's really more known for her magic than anything else. But she basically got kidnapped and was spent time in hell. And while there, a demon, I forget which one it was, basically taught her magic and shit like that, and she was kind of working for him as like one of his like top soldiers or whatever. So she eventually escaped. I think the New Mutants helped her escape. She came back. She's changed, but she's fucking badass. Let me say, she can create portals that were she can teleport around. She's got that dope ass sword. She can do magic shit. It's pretty cool. And also, I really liked her in this trailer. She's going to be very tricky. If you played Street Fighter 6, kind of like JP, where she can sort of move around, cast portals, move around them with them. It's really cool. Like, she's going to be very tricky in the sense that you may not necessarily know where she's supposed to be at. She has some cool combos. She has some cool assists. Very interesting looking, and also just cool looking. Magic has always been a very cool looking character. I'm not surprised that they brought her in. I was, however, surprised that they brought Danger in. Now, I will admit, I am not fully up on Danger. I'm aware of this character. I knew who this character was, but I don't know a ton about it because this is a more recent character. So Danger is basically the Danger Room. So the Danger Room, if you, of course if you know X Men, that's the kind of the hollow deck, if you will, where the X Men were training. They trained to get so that when they're out in the field they didn't get killed, and it can be adjusted in difficulty and whatever. We find out in the comics that that Danger was actually a sentient program that Charles had adapted from Shi'ar technology, not Shi'ar technology, and basically enslaved to kind of do the Danger Room stuff, and eventually it forms its own body and kind of frees itself and becomes a an actual entity named Danger, um, and has some pretty damn cool powers. If you saw in this trailer, doing all sorts of tricky shit. Um, and I actually they sort of make her a more of an anime magical girl, and I'm not mad about that at all because it is a Japanese thing. She has that little butterfly looking super, which was really cool. What was really cool about it is actually got a lot of people to go look into Danger. They're like, who the fuck is Danger? So I'm sure Marvel Unlimited had a lot of fielded a lot of questions about that. They're very good about directing you to that sort of thing. Just an interesting character. Also, a kind of like not a deep cut, kind of like an unusual choice, just because of how unknown they are. But also, this presents a kind of a blank slate, where expectations are not terribly rigid, and so they can kind of do cool stuff with it. Overall, I like the new characters, and then they actually showed them as like because you can have your team can be up to 4 characters. So apparently there is um, a thematic element to how you choose your teammates. So if you choose all X Men, they actually have a very specialized or not specific, you know, uh, all full team assist like super that looked really damn cool. Like it all flowed together, which really suggests something about this game, which is that if you choose to go like all Avengers or all X Men or all whoever the hell else, that it really can give you like dope shit. Like the synergy will give you more dope shit. So maybe it'll encourage you to be a lot more, focused on how you put your team together. And sometimes that team synergy, team specific synergy, might actually be the difference between winning and losing. Who knows? This game is months away, literally about half a year away. But I'm really excited for this. I am definitely going to play. I'm not going to be good, but I'm going to play, and I'm very interested to see how all of these characters play out. So anyway, you guys go check out that trailer, and let me know what do you think about these characters, and are you going to play the game? So with that being said, that is all of the news for this week. Yeah, it's not a huge news week, but I had a big rant, so I did run a bit longer than I thought I would. But you know what? Maybe I missed something. Maybe you agreed with me, disagreed with me, wanted to show some love, troll, whatever the case may be. I'm all for it, even if you're trolling. So, do get down there to the comment section and leave your thoughts there. And of course, you can always hit me up. supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com, blurred_force1 on Instagram and Threads, super_not_funny show on or actually not on TikTok. It's just blurred_force1 on TikTok too. I forgot. That is I forgot I changed that. I need to change this graphic. So yeah, go show me some love. And you guys also, while you're at it, I know she's not here, but go show some love to Polly co_mix. She's on all of your favorite platforms. Just go tell her get well, and that you guys missed her this week, just like I did. But she'll be back next week, hopefully, feeling a lot better, and fueled by her her hate for Reed. So anyway, it's been it's been episode 220 of the Supercast. I can't believe it, 220 episodes. Wow. We're almost at the end of Black History Month, so next week we're gonna follow. We're gonna finish off Black History Month with, and to be honest, it's gonna be a Black Panther Day. We're gonna talk about Black Panther, the Black Panther series, and what it means for Black Americans and people of the diaspora. It's all Black history isn't just about not just about Black Americans, but it is about Black people. We're going to talk about Black people in comics. Also, I think we're going to cover Super. We might talk about Supercell also, since we're talking about non-American, Black superheroes. It should be a good time. Polly should be back, and you won't have to just put up with my shit. So, anyway, thanks for joining me, and come back next week. So until then, I've been Mo, your comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture, and I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.